quick introduction to the book and then we can move forward. So this book is actually 60 years old. It was written in 1963 and by Dr. Joseph Murphy, and he worked. There are a lot of scientific examples that he's put together in the book, which kind of talks about how we can go about making the best use of our minds. Okay? So he's divided the book into firstly giving you a definition of what conscious mind and subconscious mind is. Okay? So our minds are made up of two parts. There is a conscious part of it and a subconscious part of it. Surprisingly, the subconscious part is 90% of our mind. Okay? The conscious part is only 10%. And 95% of what we do in our lives is actually controlled by our subconscious mind. 95%, which is phenomenal in terms of what it is. Unfortunately, most of us don't know how to use the subconscious mind per se. And that is the sad part of the world today, because nobody really teaches us how to go about using the subconscious mind per se in order to bring about sustainable changes in our lives. But it is possible to bring about sustainable changes in our lives per se. So what is subconscious, what is conscious mind? Okay, the 10% of what we talk about. It is made of four basic things. Firstly, it's our willpower. It's our ability to do things beyond our capacity. So consciously we make decisions and we say, okay, I want to do this. Again, to give you an example, and I'll give you simple examples to keep it easy. We all, a majority of the people, we all would say, if we have a choice, do we really want to work in life? Okay. The answer would be no. We don't want to work in life. Or if we say, do we really like our job? We all will say, it's okay, but there will always be a but in it, right? We will say, no, we don't want to, we hate our jobs. Most people say we hate our jobs, right? But it's because of our willpower, because we know we have bills to pay, we have a lot of things to do. We kind of push ourselves every morning and say, we're going to go and do this, right? That's possible because of our conscious mind. The conscious mind also keeps in record, it's our short-term memory. Anything that happens in the recent times, in the recent past, our conscious memory will remember it. Our conscious mind will remember it. It registers it. Our conscious mind is also the mind that thinks logically. It will always tell you, logically speaking, this is right or this is wrong. Okay? And it brings about a lot of logic because it works largely in the moment, in the present. Right? The fourth thing that it does, it talks about critical thinking. It always criticizes things from a perspective of whether you want to do it or not, whether we should do this or not, whether we should fear this or not. And that is why a lot of our decisions, we are not able to take them because we are critically thinking all the time. Okay? We're always criticizing anything that we want to do in life. Right? We're not taking those efforts or making those efforts to go on to the next step. So four things that basically makes up our conscious mind. What are the things that make up our subconscious mind? There are 8 of them actually, the key ones as per the book. Number 1 are beliefs. Okay? As children, we are taught something, the society tells us something, these are our beliefs. It also includes our values. Okay? Our belief system, our value system, which has come to us through our parents, our siblings, our teachers, our environment, and everything else. Our cultures, our religion, our countries. Whatever has been taught to us, those are part of our subconscious mind. Our emotions are also part of our subconscious mind. How do we react to certain situations emotionally? Are we emotionally weak? Are we emotionally strong? Are we emotionally sound? All of those factors determined by our subconscious mind. Our habits are also part of our subconscious mind. We don't really need to do certain things consciously every day. Like for example, if we have driven here, when we drive a car, we don't really have to think about, okay, now I have to press the clutch or I have to press the accelerator or whatever. It's a very natural thing that comes to us. It's like simple things like going and brushing our teeth. Nobody has to teach us now how to brush our teeth. Right? It's all part of our system. It's ingrained in our system. So it's our habits, the way we eat our food. You know, it's part of our habit systems, which is there in our subconscious mind. Our protective reactions. How do we react in a certain situation? So if somebody comes to you suddenly and tries to attack you, how are you going to react? How are you going to protect yourself? That's again something that's inbuilt into our systems, and we react in those certain fashions as well. Our long-term memory, subconscious mind is like our journal. It never forgets anything. It keeps everything alive, but it does not bring that about to you on a daily basis. It doesn't throw up that knowledge to you or that information to you on a daily basis and says that, you know what, oh, you remember this happened 20 years ago. It's only when you need it, it will bring it. Otherwise, it will just store everything at the back of your mind. It also is the world of imagination. All your imaginations, all our things, what we believe are going to happen or what we want to make it happen, it's all part of our subconscious mind. And the last thing is our intuition, as we also call it the gut feel. That again comes in from our subconscious mind, because our subconscious mind is inherently connected to the universal spirit. And that is why this book is so appealing, because the book talks about a universal spirit, something that binds human race together, something that puts together humanity together, something that brings the human beings together. And that is part of our universal spirit, and the spirit of being together in this world and trying to experience things together. So that intuition is also something that's part of our subconscious mind per se. Now, as I said, subconscious mind records everything. It does not leave place for anything out. Sometimes we struggle to find out, to recall something in our mind. That's because when we recorded that incident, we probably said to ourselves that this is not so important, just forget about it. Right? So the subconscious mind registers it and says, okay, forget about it. But it is still remembering this at the back of my mind, and if you really want it, it can throw it back to you. Right? Second, it is always alert and awake. It doesn't go to sleep, because it talks to you during your dreams as well. It is the subconscious mind that brings out a lot of dreams to you. So when we dream about something, it's not a random thing that suddenly comes into our mind. There is some thought, there is some science that goes behind dreams as well. Okay? Sometimes we don't understand it. Maybe it is deep rooted in our childhood. Maybe it is deep rooted in something that we saw, we read, we experienced, okay, or we imagined. Because dreams are a lot about our imagination as well, right? And those are all part of our subconscious mind, and that is what kind of brings about to us as well. Subconscious mind is also built on habituations. Like I just told you, it is built on habits. The more we build habits around it, our subconscious mind controls those habits as well. And 95% of our life is controlled by our subconscious mind. As I said, it speaks to you during your dreams as well. It has no verbal language. So it is not something that will suddenly talk to you and say, hey, today you should be doing this. No, it speaks through you to intuitions. It gives us gut feelings. It is a feeling mind that we have. It takes everything literally. Okay? So if you tell the subconscious mind that this place is very important to me, it will take it literally, that yes, this is very important to me. But if you say that, okay, you know what, I just came here, I liked it, but not so important, I may not come back. It's not going to keep that in your important list at all. It will just keep it there, but it won't be as part of your important list. And probably after a week, when you try to tell somebody about this place, you are not likely to remember the name. You will forget the name. It's 100% going to happen, because you did not give importance to the place, and you didn't tell your subconscious mind to register this as one of your favorite places, right? It happens, right? Sometimes we feel, oh, this restaurant, like for example, Mees, the restaurant opposite here, is one of my favorite places. I will never forget this, okay? And at any point of time I have to recommend a place to somebody, Mees comes right on top of my mind. But if I have to tell somebody, oh, go to this particular place and find out, and then we struggle to remember the name of that place, that's because you did not give it so much of an importance at that point of time. Our subconscious mind is capable of doing 1 trillion things together, okay? And it is, like I said, it's not logical, but it is the feeling mind. It gives you a sense of feeling. It tells you what is the right thing to do what is the wrong thing to do, but it just tells you through your feeling, as we call the gut feeling, that we refer it to. And it's a million times more powerful than the conscious mind. That's the comparison between the two minds that we talk about. Now, how do we bring about the best use of our subconscious mind? Okay? What is it that is stopping us from using our subconscious mind fully? Now, human beings are divided into two kinds of men, two kinds of segments when it comes to the use of their minds. One is called magnetized human beings. The other is called demagnetized human beings. Okay? Magnetized human beings basically refer to people who have a lot of self-confidence and who have a lot of courage to do things beyond their capacities. So these are people who ooze out a lot of confidence in them. If you meet them, they are completely, you will probably be in awe of them. You will probably fall in love with them. They are people who are like magnets, right? Their confidence is infectious. It passes on to you, right? Because they have a lot of courage to even go out and do things beyond their capacity. They will go and do things which you would not expect. Right? So that's one kind of a personality that the book talks about. These are people who make the best use of their subconscious mind. On the other side, there is another kind of a class in human beings, which is the demagnetized human beings. These are people who are living in fear and self-doubt. People who live in fear and self-doubt are never able to take the next step in life. They will always keep doing things just for the sake of doing it. Oh, I'm doing my job because I have to do my job. These guys will probably never get a promotion in their life, or they don't aspire to become what they want to become in life because they always live in the fear of failure, the fear of accepting new responsibilities, the fear of moving out of their comfort zone. So I'll give you an example of a client of mine who was in a particular job for 18 years. He was on the same position. Okay, he was in accounts. As an accountant, he was I think his designation was senior manager or something, but given his experience, he should have become like a vice president or a senior vice president in his company. But he never got that promotion beyond senior manager because he was not confident of himself. His superiors, when they used to evaluate him, would always tell him that you do not give us that confidence that you are ready for the job or you are ready to take up the responsibility. So he used to live in this fear that, one, I'm very set with what I do, I'm very good at what I do, I don't want to move out of this. I don't want to go and take more responsibility because what if I'm not good at that? Right? And the third is, the moment he moves up the ladder, he will be having a lot of responsibility for other people also. His team and all the other stuff that he's willing to do. So he was living in this frame of mind and he was very fearful of taking the next step. So when he came to me and I started coaching him and I trained him for about 6 months. He was my client. He kind of realized that why was he fearful of failure? That was because his parents had taught him this thing, that your job, your role or your goal in life, your meaning in life should be to find a job and stick to it. Be happy in what you're getting. Don't be greedy. Don't be ambitious. Don't move up in life. There's no need for you to look at becoming the CEO or whatever. Just be happy with what you're getting. So he got stuck in that comfort zone. He never decided to move forward. And he realized that in 18 years, he's lost out on so much of opportunities. Because had he become... So my question to him was very simple, that why don't you become a vice president or a senior vice president or a CFO in your company and then sit in a comfort zone? Right? Why do you want to sit in a comfort zone as a manager? So when he started looking at those, and then when we did our, he started understanding himself better. He realized, and he himself told me this, that some of his superiors who came in, some of his bosses who came in, actually knew less than him in terms of accounts, etc., because he was more experienced than them. But it was just that because he was not ambitious enough, he was not able to take that next step. So finally, he was able to convince himself, pull himself out. He went out there, he actually did another course in finance, advanced level finance, etc. He brushed up his skills, and today he's a vice president in the company. You know, like he was my client 2 years ago, and after last year, I think he got his promotion, and he moved up the ladder, and now he's a vice president in the company. So sometimes we just tend to stick to where we are. So from being a demagnetized personality, he now became a magnetized person, and he's now able to attract more positivity in life. That brings us to the first formula that the book offers in terms of how can we use subconscious mind to cultivate what we want to really do. He says, Dr. Murphy says that thoughts are like seeds in the field. Our thoughts are like seeds in the field. Positive thoughts will reap positive results. Negative thoughts will reap negative results. So again, going back to the same story of this guy, when he was completely convinced that, he cannot progress in life, he was not progressing in life. But the moment he started harnessing positive thoughts about himself, about his ability to move forward, the moment he was able to nurture, able to do a course and study further and enhance his skill sets, he got a promotion. So it's only when we nurture positive thoughts are we going to get positivity in life. But if we nurture negative thoughts, we're going to get negativity in life. So one of the first things that we should tell ourselves or keep saying ourselves is whatever is happening for good. There is something positive that's waiting to happen. We may not see it right now, but something good will come out of it. Like how I gave you an example of how when I was in depression in 2006, my coach helped me come out of that depression by telling me this constantly, that something good is waiting to happen. And because I was able to manifest that yes, something positive will come out of this. Don't worry about it. You've gone through a bad phase of life, but now something good is waiting for you to happen. I was able to nurture those positive thoughts, and today, 18 years later, I am in a profession which is completely new. But I'm proud of the fact that because in 18 years I've built a reputation and respect for myself in that profession. Had I kept thinking negatively, had I stayed in that depressive phase in my life, I wouldn't have been where I am today. So telling yourself positive things increases positivity in life. Most people, live in the world. So most of the people live in the world without, and very few people live in the world within. Now, our goal should be to live within us. We spoke about touching the core, right? Touching the core is very important because we should be happy, satisfied, contented with what we have. Only then we will be able to build something new for ourselves. What we do is we live in the world without most of the times. How? You've got a bigger car than me. You get paid more than me. You have a bigger house than me. Your children are going to Harvard, my children are not. Okay?
We're mixing, we're in touch. It's the influence with the core.
Exactly.
It gets mixed.
It gets mixed.
The core gets disoriented.
Exactly. We get disoriented. So we like to live in the world without. Okay? We feel we are living in the world without this. So I don't have a car. Oh my God, I don't have a car. Now what do I do? The other person has a car. Rather than working hard and buying a car, I start living in this world that, he has a car and I don't. So what happens is my mind starts manifesting negativity all the time. We live in a world without. We should be living in the world within. So if we express gratitude to what we have already, only then we can build something new. Otherwise, we will never be able to build upon it at all. So like you said, you do journaling, you used to express gratitude, you used to meditate. These are all things of telling the universe that I'm grateful for what I have. And now I'm ready to receive more. Because if we acknowledge what we have, only then we'll be able to receive more. Otherwise, the universe will be like, oh, I have given you enough. You're not acknowledging it. You're not valuing it. I'm not worried about it. And the universal spirit talks to us through our subconscious mind. It happens. These are all scientific experiments that have been done. And if you do these in your life, you will realize that they are actually very, very active. Subconscious mind simply follows the orders that we give it in our conscious sense. Okay? So if we tell our mind that we want to develop this or we want to build this in our lives, the universe comes together. The subconscious mind works at the back end. It's more like a back end software, okay, that makes sure that it comes to life. Earlier, later, that's a matter of lot of factors, but it definitely starts working at the back of your mind. That this is something that you are supposed to achieve, and this is something that I want to work towards achieving. Right? So whatever you tell your mind, be very, very careful. Because your mind is listening, the universe is listening. So if you tell yourself that you're not good looking, you're not smart enough to be in this world, you're not fit for this job, you're not fit to live here, you're not capable of this, etc. Keep in mind the world is listening to you, the universe is listening to you. And through your subconscious mind, these messages are being passed around as well. So it kind of helps you to achieve your objectives in your dreams if you tell the right thing to it. It's like giving the right input. If you are developing a software and you give it the wrong input, it will give out the wrong input. But if you give the right input, you are likely to get the right output as well. So be very careful as to what you speak to yourself. Okay? So like an example that he says is, if you say that you cannot afford a good life, you will not have a good life. Right? So talk to your mind about having a good life. Talk to yourself that you are happy with what you have. Because only when you are contented with yourself, when you're happy with what you have, will you move forward to accept newer things in life and more things in life. When, like for example, a lot of people, like if you've seen Jim Carrey, you know, the famous Hollywood actor, in one of his interviews, he actually says that he has never ever gone on stage without rehearsing things. Okay? And that is true for most of the world leaders as well. When they go and speak, when they give a speech, they actually rehearse with themselves, largely standing in front of the mirror and talking to them. I mean, honestly, when I wrote all of this down in the afternoon, I sat in my house, in my room, and I actually told all these things to myself as to how am I going to explain these points to everyone. It is important for us to rehearse, and that's exactly what happens in life. If we tell ourselves that all is okay, now things are going to happen, positive things are going to happen, I'm going to move forward in life, I'm going to do great things in life, that's how greatness happens. But if we keep telling ourselves, if we keep sulking about things, if we just tell ourselves, no, nothing is going right in my life, life is not fair, it's not good, that's how the life kind of manifests itself in your mind also. So your conscious mind and the subconscious mind should be aligned. If they're not aligned, it causes a lot of friction, right? It's difficult to control our conscious mind because it always thinks about logic. It always is out there to criticize things. But it's easier to control our subconscious mind because whatever we feed in our subconscious mind ultimately determines who we are as a person. Okay? So the aim in our life should be to get rid of our negative thoughts. Now, I'll give you another statistic which is quite alarming. You know, from the time we wake up in the morning to the time we go to sleep as human beings, we get 50,000 thoughts in our minds. Okay? And do you know how many of them are negative thoughts? 40,000 of them. We live only with 10,000 positive thoughts in the day. Now it's up to us whether we want to grow this pie of positive thoughts and catch hold of the positive thoughts and stay with them, or catch hold of the negative thoughts and stay with them. But there's enough negativity in this world. We don't have to manifest it, it's already there. Right? So up to us whether we want to catch the negative thoughts or we want to catch the positive thoughts. Okay? A lot of it in our subconscious mind is deep rooted in our childhood. Okay? And our teenage years. So a lot of it that we believe, like we said, our beliefs, our values, a lot of it is also propaganda. Because somebody else told us we have to do this. Right? Most of it is propaganda. So as part of it, as part of our subconscious mind growth, we should challenge this notion. Why are we believing what we are believing? Why are things being valued? Like I gave you an example of homeschooling, right? Now, I homeschool my children. I have 2 kids. My wife and I decided not to send them to school. Now, when we decided to do that, it was a brave move, right? It's going against the propaganda that has been told to us from childhood that no, as a child you have to go to school. If you don't go to school, you're not going to be a great person. Okay? History has proven that if you go to see stories of great business people, stories of people who built empires, stories of people who are great leaders in this world, they've never gone to school. I'm not saying that my children are going to be one of them, or maybe they will be. We don't know what destiny has cut out for them or what they are capable of. But most of the great people have never really been to school. They've all learned in life through various other things.
You get basic one size fits all learning. It is barely functioning.
It is, exactly.
It's crippling.
It is. It is.
We become old.
Exactly. So this is why in logotherapy, Viktor Frankl actually has a full book that he has written about challenging the education system around the world. And he says what we are preparing people for are not to be human beings, but what we are preparing people for is to be robots who don't have a mind of their own, right? We are told, go to school, get good grades because you need to go to college. We go to college, get good grades because you need to find a job. Find a job, why? You need to earn money and get married, then have children, then raise the family. Then by the time you are in a position where you actually start thinking about what to do next, your life is practically over. Okay? And like I was giving them examples earlier, that I used to have a client who's 22 years old. He had a nervous breakdown during COVID, not because of COVID, but because he never knew how to cook in his life. So when all the delivery apps stopped, he was stranded and he got so paranoid. He had a nervous breakdown because he kept calling his mother every day and asking her that, why did you not teach me? He's an engineer, software engineer. He says, these computers are not going to make me live. Why did you not teach me the basics of cooking in life? Like, for example, my son recently completed a course in CPR. Okay? How many of us actually were taught CPR in school? I wasn't taught. I still don't know how to do CPR. If God forbid something happens to someone here, I can't save them. Basic life-saving skill was never taught to us. Why? Because those people don't want us to become independent. They don't want us to be survivalist. They will say, you have a heart attack, call 911 or call this and just go to the hospital and spend a lot of money there. And somebody will take care of you. Right? They want us to be dependent on others. So every time we break the notion, every time we challenge the values, every time we challenge this propaganda of life, our subconscious mind plays an important role. Because it will tell you whether you're doing the right thing or the wrong thing. To me and my wife, our subconscious mind said, you're doing the right thing. But to our circle of families and friends, etc., we've kind of spoiled our children's lives. But end of the day, moral of the story, they're our kids, we take the responsibility for them. Right? So, instill fear, instill fear into your life. That's what the world has done for us. Right? So our subconscious mind a lot of times is full of fear. Don't do this because this will happen. Don't do that because that will happen. Okay? Our conscious mind will always tell us this. Don't do this. Don't take that risk. This is illogical. Don't do this. Don't do that. Our conscious mind needs to be reprogrammed by challenging these notions and saying whether this is right or wrong.
We are very prone to negative thinking because we have instinct, inherited instinct, because our survival history for hundreds of thousands of years, we are very hyper vigilant for
Yes.
predators, for food, all this stuff. But now we are safe in a safe environment, and any negative thing will trigger that instinctive.
Instant. Yes.
fear.
So it's you remember we spoke about the protective reaction. Yeah? So we always say, okay, let me protect myself. Like in a lot of countries, like I come from India. In India, the first thing that we do, if there is any point of time, it's a very normal instinct and especially seen in Asians in particular. If there is crisis anywhere in the world, okay, Indians and Asians are the first people, they will start hoarding things. They will start saving. They don't want to spend. Okay, there's recession in the US, but the Indian economy is suffering because people have stopped spending money. They fear, oh, what if recession comes here? Right? It's a protective reaction. It immediately tells you, okay, do this because we need to protect ourselves. So that's fine. I mean, it's in a way, it's challenging these things and unlearning these things is important. That's what the book talks about, that we should start unlearning things. Okay, and our subconscious mind plays a major role in helping us unlearn what we've done. Because if we are able to tell ourselves that let's start challenging these notions, okay, like when I speak to my children, for example, I never tell them that, okay, you need to go and find a job when you grow big. Why are we using the term job? Why are we telling them that you will have to do a job for someone else? Okay? Or even if you have to work for someone else, why don't we tell our kids that you need to nurture your talents, you need to be talented enough to be able to contribute to somebody's business or to be able to contribute to a business? Why don't we change the narrative of what we tell people? Right? Today, most of us are in jobs. I do a job as well, but I don't tell myself I'm doing a job. I'm here because I'm a specialist in my field, and my company values my expertise, and I'm adding value because of that expertise. So if I keep telling myself that I'm in a job, I'm a slave, I'm enslaved here, all of that stuff, then my life is miserable. But if I am shown or if I am told that you are valuable, you're an expert, and we need your expertise to grow business, the narrative changes. And that is what we need to tell ourselves every day, change the narrative. Right? So how do we bring about these changes in our lives? Number one is mindfulness. Like how you spoke about journaling, gratitude, meditation. By accepting what we have, what the universe has already given us. That's the first step of bringing about the change of better utilization of the subconscious mind. Because the subconscious mind then knows that, okay, I've given something to this person, and this person really is acknowledging it, accepting it wholeheartedly, so I should work towards giving him or her more. So mindfulness is the first thing that we should work towards. The second thing is self-observation. Okay, a lot of places, for example, how you appear, what you tell the other person, how you show yourself to the world, makes a big difference of how the world looks at you as well. Right? If I am sitting here in shabby clothes, torn clothes, looking like a beggar, the whole world will think I'm a beggar. Right? But if I am sitting here in a well-dressed attire, doing things which kind of bring out my talent, or telling the world what I'm capable of doing, the world will look at me in a very different manner. So it all depends upon what you want to show the world, and it starts with your own self. right? Self-observation, being selfish. So take care of yourself, because that is extremely important. When you take care of yourself, it kind of tells the universe that, okay, once again, I'm thankful and grateful for what you've given me. Now I'm prepared to bring about more changes in my life, or better changes in my life. So always be self-aware and observe what you're doing in life. The last thing is create your own reality. To explain to this, there's a very beautiful quote in the book, which is written by Henry Ford. Henry Ford says, whether you think you can or you think you cannot, in both instances you are right. Whether you think you can or whether you think you cannot, in both instances you are right. Because if you've told yourself you can do it, you can do it. But if you've told yourself you cannot do it, you cannot do it. So create your own reality. If we don't create our own reality, it's not going to move forward. So if you want to be the CEO of your company, it is possible to be the CEO of your company. But if you tell yourself that I am not capable of becoming the CEO of my company, you will never become the CEO of your company. So nothing is impossible in this world. It's all about what you manifest for yourself. Most of us, unfortunately, because the world has tied us up in this propaganda thing, we just live where we are living. We don't want to move forward. We don't want to take the step or the courage to move out and say, okay, I'm going to go out and do something new. That's something that we tell ourselves, and we only stop ourselves. So how do we create the reality? Two things: visualization and manifestation. If we visualize ourselves as something, like Jim Carrey does, when he goes on stage, he visualizes himself as a great performer, and that's how he's able to perform great. And the other is manifestation, telling yourself every day what you want. Like you said, for a year you did journaling and you did meditation and you did gratitude expression, etc. You should not stop it, because you may not see the results coming in every day, but this forms a chain of all you're putting together as an effort, of all you're manifesting as an effort. And at some point of time in life, those results will come back to you. So it's important for us to be consistent in manifesting what we want to tell ourselves. Right? For example, if you see, people who go to the gym, right? People who go to the gym, and if you want to play sports, right? And if you meet any sports coach or a fitness coach, they will tell you the journey to fitness doesn't start by going to the gym or eating right. It starts here. If you tell yourself that you want to, be fit, you tell yourself that you want to be active, you tell yourself that you want to win a marathon, only then will you do it. So you have to win it yourself hundreds of times in your mind. Manifest yourself hundreds of times in your mind. Visualize yourself in that avatar hundreds of times in your mind before it becomes a reality. But don't leave it in it. It's all about consistency, because the mind keeps listening to it, and then it's a power of compounding in a way. Every time you tell it, it keeps adding, and then it keeps compounding. Right? So, like I said, the best time to visualize and manifest is the flow state. 15 minutes before you sleep, 15 minutes after you wake up. Those are the times when you will be able to kind of present the best part of it. So, bringing about steps to success, okay? Besides these few techniques that we spoke about, bringing about the steps to success. Number one, you should love your work. Okay? Like I said, change the narrative. Don't tell yourself you're doing a job or you're doing a job for someone else. Okay? Tell yourself that you are important. You are important in that job. You're contributing something effective to that job. Okay? And you're doing it for yourself. You're doing it for your own growth. You're doing it because it makes you happy. It gives you joy. So if you start loving your work, your work also, the universal spirit will ensure that your work also loves you back. And that's how growth happens in life. Second is try to specialize in something. Like I gave you an example, I'm a specialist in brand licensing. That's what brings me here. That's what people value me. Okay? I may not be, I'm not a jack of all trades. I don't know a lot of things in life, but I know one thing in life which people value me for. And that is why specialization helps. And specialization happens only when you keep doing things again and again, when you don't stop learning, when you continue to grow, when you continue to experience something new. Should not be random things. Okay? So hold one thing and go after that. Bring about that consistency and you will be able to see success in it. The last thing that we should worry about is also bring about a sense of giving back to the society or giving back to the world. If you do things with an objective of giving back to the world, giving back to the universe, you will see that a lot of things will always come back to you. Right? So, hello. Yeah, please. So, a lot of things will always come back to you. Because what we do is we get so ingrained in our own self, okay, in our own work, in our own universe, that we forget that there is a larger universe out there, okay, which also is in need of help. So just like you and I would require help from others, there'll be others who will require help from us. And if we are able to inculcate this habit of giving something back to the society, doing something for the society, maybe teaching something to someone, maybe giving something, donating something, all of these things add a lot of value to our purpose in life, for our ability to grow in life. And also this plays a major role because our subconscious mind knows one thing, that if you give, you're ready to receive. So if I give the knowledge to people, I'm ready to receive more knowledge. But if I just keep all the knowledge to myself, then what is the use of it? Even if I keep gathering more knowledge, it's of no value at all, right? So it's something that I saw a video which explained this idea very simply, that if you have a glass and you fill water into it right up to the brim, right? And then you want more water, it's just going to spill over. And that water is going to be of no use to anybody eventually, because you're not going to drink what is spilled on the ground. Right? But let's say if you start distributing this to others, now your bottle is empty. Now you're ready to fill it more. And that's why it's important to give back to people as well. And that forms another important aspect of actually having a successful life as well. Okay. Finally, he says, it is easy to imagine yourself successful and happy, just as it is easy to imagine yourself as a failure and unhappy. So if we tell ourselves that we are failures, we will remain unhappy. If we tell ourselves we are a success, then we walk on the path of happiness. So happiness is really our choice. It's up to us which path we want to take. Whether we want to go on a path of saying, oh, we are going to continue crying over it, or we are going to go on a path of saying that no, I think this is something that is great, that's happening good in my life, but now I want to move forward and do something further greater than this. So it's purely your choice in terms of how you frame your subconscious mind and use that. So the book is quite effective. Like I said, it's 60 years old, but the techniques are still valid. Most of them are scientifically proven. There are examples of how people have benefited out of this as well. One nice example that I want to end this talk with is how you can even manifest your own life. So there was this person who was living in Australia, and he was around 64, 65, and he was on his doctors had diagnosed a disease and told him that he probably has 6 months to survive. So he called his son. His son used to live in Italy. So he called his son and he told him that, I only have 6 months to live. I want you to come to Australia and stay with me for some time. But because he was a Catholic, he was a firm believer in the power of the cross. So he requested him that when you come from Italy, can you go to the Vatican and can you bring me a cross and ask one of the priests over there to bless it? Now the son was not a believer of the church. So the son said, who's going to go to the church and whatever, right? Forget it. So he just randomly from the roadside, he bought one cross and he brought the cross with him to Australia. He went and he told his father that I actually went to the Vatican and I made a priest bless this and now I have got this for you. His father kind of held it with his hands to his chest, slept with it for many days together. Every day kept thanking Jesus that you've blessed me in my last days of my life by coming to me from Vatican, and I am so grateful for the life you've given me and I'm so grateful for my son, that he's such a nice guy. He went all the way there, he brought me this thing, and I really feel that I've got enough in life, I've got everything in life. And he used to pray with this every day. Ultimately how many years he survived? 20 years. He died at the age of 84. And that was all because he was telling his subconscious mind every day that everything is great. That he's got enough in his life, that God has blessed him by coming to him all the way, and that everything is now going to be fine. And after 6 months or a year, when he went back for his treatment, his doctors were surprised as well. He was able to manifest and get rid of his own illnesses.